Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you, Chris? I'm fine. Yourself?
I'm really good. Yeah. Woke up with a bit of hay fever. Hey ho. But I'm all good.
Hay fever here too. Yeah, the hay fever season. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Open Minds. This is where the weekend begins. Saturday live with the Chris and Gloria's live chat show. So, Chris, how's your week been?
It's been a good week, Gloria. Yeah. We'll touch on my mediumship side, touch on the other side. It was Erin's birthday yesterday, my daughter. So it's been a good week. Yeah.
Lovely.
Really good. Yourself?
Well, I'm happy this week. As you know, last week to the audience, I had no heating at all or hot water, and I was an iceberg. I was the ice cream last week. I have heating. It's been wonderful and warm. It's amazing what you can be grateful for when it's taken away. I'm telling you, I'm so grateful for heating. It was a hard one last Saturday. I froze, literally froze. So, yeah. What have I done this week? What have I done? There's just so much. A lot of artwork, art and craft this week. Been on Eternal Spirit Online, Kate Green's page, watching mediums on there and a lot of things on there. It's been a wonderful week, actually, quite interesting. And I must say to everyone, tomorrow is Mothering Sunday. Do go on to Eternal Spirit Online team because the amazing Kate Green is doing a Mother's Day demonstration of mediumship. So everyone go over to Eternal Spirit Online. Now, Chris, today we have an amazing guest, do we not?
We do. I can't wait to listen to her journey. Really interested in the light code and light language and the channeling and the pictures and all sorts.
We were hoping to display some of her artwork as we spoke live today, but we've had some technical problems with that. However, it will be on our page. We will be putting more of Dea Lightcodes artwork on our page after the show.
They're amazing, Gloria. Amazing. I put some up the other day to advertise. There was one in particular, I think it was the dragon one.
Oh, God, yes.
There's quite a few that commented and loved that one as well. But I like all of them, to be honest. But it stands out.
And I do say, when you do view these I don't know if you call them paintings or art, do zoom in and open up the picture. You will see the light codes. It is unbelievable. So, okay, well, I'm going to do my little intro for Dee. So here we go. And I've got my auto cue, just in case the brain gives up. It does that a lot lately. So Dee, through spiritual awakening, started channeling sacred geometry and light codes. On today's show, she will share with us her journey on how light codes are energies and patterns from sacred geometry, sound waves, colors to frequencies that the whole of the creation emits. So please, Chris Shearer, would you bring in our guest for today, Dea Lightcodes?
I certainly will.
Good morning.
Morning, Dee.
Welcome to Open Minds. Welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us.
It's lovely to be here.
Okay, so let the show begin. Where are you at the moment, Dee? Are you in Germany?
I'm visiting my brother, yes, visiting family, so I'm in Germany at the moment.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. So we'll start the show with the first question and see where it all goes, having the conversation. So Dee, where did your journey begin, as in your first spiritual encounter?
The first spiritual encounter, as I can recall, was as a child. From what we perceive as humans through a traumatic experience. I saw with my physical eyes and my mind's eye an energy portal opening up. And I felt this huge amount of energy just coming towards me. And I felt this just pure state of beingness, calmness, serenity that overcame my whole energetic and physical body. So whatever was happening as perceived as quite traumatic, it just dissolved in the presence of this energy. So this was the first time that I actually became aware that there is something more to existence than just the physical reality that we are
Amazing.
aware of.
Yeah. How did you feel after that? I mean, sorry, Chris, go on.
No, you go on. Go on. It's all right. Go on.
Here we go. Okay, I'll go on. How after that event, how did you feel? What changed? What happened? I mean, obviously we can feel how immense it was. Mm-hmm. How did you perceive? What was your perception like after that as a small child?
I didn't question it as much. I didn't communicate it either because I didn't have other people that were sharing things like that were happening with them. So I entered into hiding that part of my life. And I always, throughout my life, tried to fit in quite unsuccessfully. I always felt disconnected from this plane of existence. I went through the whole journey of that, blaming the outside reality for what I was experiencing, until one day a deeper realization came about that actually I am the creator of my own reality. And when this occurred, I took responsibility of my life and my existence in human form, and everything changed.
I'm so intrigued because you do the light language or the light codes, as we say. And it lets me know that I'm not crazy, because I've had moments of seeing language on the floor and carpets and things like that and thinking, what is that? But I love the artwork and the channeling and how you channel it. So how did you go into that side of things, Dee? Was it just natural, or what happened? How did that come about?
Mm-hmm. First, I want to touch on this when you said, that you thought you're crazy, because many of us, when we tapped into the spiritual realm or to higher realms, we have, as humanity, such a strong programming to make us think that, this is not normal, or that's crazy. I would always answer people like, well, define please what's normal. Because all of us, we experience reality in a different way. We can be observing one event and all of us were having different experience through it. So what is actually reality? Is reality when I'm awake in this physical reality? Is reality when I'm sleeping? Which dimension is reality, etc. Is very large topic, right? So I just wanted to open up, plant some seeds there. How it started, the light codes, it was approximately only 3.5 years ago, quite accelerated journey, because if I, share with you the beginning of the light codes, they were quite undefined. It was just like some strokes on the paper. And then they kind of became literally letters and proper symbols. So as I mentioned before, I felt quite disconnected from this reality, and every attempt that I had to fit in was quite painful or offered painful experiences. So eventually I started isolating myself. I was having a normal job in which I had to behave a certain way, but I felt not myself even there. So I would, on days off, or I would self-isolate. And when I did so, I felt more peaceful and more serenity. Now I'm not promoting self-isolation in order to feel good. I'm just sharing what happened with me. And in one of those moments, I felt an intuitive impulse to paint. I never had a lesson in my life to learn how to draw or anything of that sort, but I decided, like, the impulse was so strong that I decided to follow that. I bought canvases, I bought professional paint, and I started playing some music. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps just remembering that. And I started painting. You can call this abstract, although I don't like to, put things into frame, but you can call this abstract paintings. I was just letting go completely. What I would perceive from this moment now is that I was entering a meditative state and tapping into infinite intelligence and allowing whatever was coming through. And after I did around 15 paintings, through synchronicity, of course, I met one of my closest mentors that I owe so much to in regards to my spiritual development. Master Yogi George and Mathilde Lumiere. They held the center when I used to live in Dubai. They were holding a meditation center there called Ascension Pathways. And I saw them online through synchronicity. And I shared with them that I do paintings. So we met, and through this conversation, they started asking me, okay, so what is this? What is this? What energy have you channeled here? How is this called? What is it? And I was like, I don't know. and it never occurred to me to even ask. So Yogi George suggested that I connect with the paintings, which also never occurred to me. And with Gloria, we had this conversation as well, because she paints.
We did. We did.
And when I started connecting with them, this is when I started receiving some symbols, which were very basic, very, like a baby drawing. If you imagine a small baby, how it will, until it learns to write. And then for a couple of years, like for 2-3 years prior to that, I had the strong calling to go to either Tibet or Nepal. I couldn't explain where this is coming from and why I'm feeling this strong connection. This never manifested. However, what manifested was for me to go to, and now it disappeared, Cambodia. Sorry, Cambodia. It's also a Buddhist country. So when I was standing beside the Buddha stupa in Dragon Mountain, I saw with my physical eyes quite strong symbol of energy, which I then discovered that that's a Hathor symbol. And I discovered about the fourth-dimensional beings, the Hathorians. So this is the first beings also that I discovered about. And then I went on a sacred side mission in Egypt with the Ascension One Collective, which I'm part of even up to date. I work closely with them. And the light codes and light language started pouring through, like coming so much through me at that moment in time. When we visit different sacred sites, like there are energy centers, vortexes, so the energy is very strong there. So when we visit certain places, we also receive some kind of openings there as well.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started.
Amazing.
I mean, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
You go first, Chris. You go first. I mean, here we go.
Well, I suppose the question to ask is, what is the light language? What is the symbols? From your understanding, Dee, do you know what I mean? I know you've been on a journey, and others who might be experiencing that would want to know what it is, really, I suppose, in simple terms.
In the simplest term, light codes are simply the expression of light. So that's the simplest way I can explain it. So as I was going through my own journey, when light language came through me, in the initial stages, I wasn't aware of, let's say, what exactly I'm channeling. So through practices, I sometimes would sit for 16 hours channeling, because I was quite slow as well with the beginning. And you learn discernment as well. So that's part of you growing your own channel and, coming to like expanding and growing yourself. So the initial stage was just the symbols are coming and I don't know what they are. Then I started recollecting different aspects of myself. We're multidimensional beings. So what happened was I recollected the Pleiadian as a reincarnation of mine, an Arcturian, a Hathorian, Lyran, etc. I started connected with the Sisterhood of Rose, Brotherhood of Light, Yeshua, Mother Mary. So from one to another, and then it became this, the universe is so vast. And I started observing when I'm channeling them in light codes, the difference in the light codes that are coming through depending on the light being that I'm channeling or the frequency that I'm channeling. Every frequency has a different color. The same way our chakra system, each chakra has a different color and carries certain frequency. The same way are the light beings as well, if I can explain it this way. So I forgot what was the question.
I think you've answered it anyway, Dee. But
so yeah.
Obviously, you raise your vibration to reach that frequency in order to channel that back down to this reality. Was that a natural process? Did you have to do meditation? Did you have to go through certain things to, I don't know, enhance that, or allow that?
So right now, so basically in the beginning, of course you have to do a meditation because this is it is your responsibility to make sure that your channel is pure and it's not tainted with something else. And it's your responsibility to learn how, the precision of and the certainty that you're channeling a certain being. So that's the process of learning discernment. Right. And yes, of course, I would always enter a meditative state. And nowadays it has become so natural. It's like breathing for me. I can enter a state in and out in minutes of seconds. And I can go in and out a couple of times. So I can, let's say I can be channeling. And then if something happens, I can, come back, have a conversation and then come back in and continue channeling. And the 3D mind tries to make sense of this, but that's the beauty of the light codes because they bypass the 3D mind and they interact on a soul level, DNA level. They reignite a dormant DNA that is laying within all of us. And this is how they awaken and help us tap into many of our gifts. There is so many gifts that lie within us. It's just a matter of us, if we're willing to open them up, if we're willing to tap into them and develop them and grow them. All of us, we have this possibility. So
can I ask on the back of that? Sorry, Dee. Can I ask on the back of that, why, for our audience, and me and Chris too, why are these beings coming through at this time now, channeling light codes, and we hear of other conscious channelers? What's happening with consciousness at the moment from your perspective?
From my perspective, they have always been coming, but they have not been accessible to a larger population, so to speak. From my perspective, we are right now at a very accelerated path of awakening. That's why more and more of us are waking up. And by the end of the day, we are collective consciousness. So the more and more wake up, the more and more we affect, each one of us affects the human consciousness and the reality. So the more and more people open up, the more and more we open up others as well through our interactions, through everything. Even if you're sitting in a chair in your house every day and just eating and sleeping, but you are working on, let's say, towards, even if you're not doing anything, you're still affecting the collective.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Okay. Thank you. That makes sense. That says it in a nutshell, basically. Chris?
I don't know. I find it all fascinating. I find it fascinating that you couldn't do artwork, never done it. You just opened yourself up to the reality that, yes, I can. And that was it. It flew. You know what I mean?
Well, the journey never ends. I just followed, and I would encourage everyone, follow your point of excitement. I know it sounds cliche, but we're learned and we're programmed to just put those things away, to call them not normal, when this is actually the actual truth, so to speak, or the actual reality, so to speak.
Yeah. So the codes that you give, you receive, what are they for in our density that where we exist? What do they bring?
So I have to start a bit earlier. So initially, I was everything was wiped out. So whatever I was studying before as history, geography, or anything like that, it was just not existent here. Thank God I was able to do my job that I was doing at the moment. This was not wiped out. But the reason I'm saying this is, for example, in the beginning, I was channeling Merkaba, and I didn't even know what's Merkaba. I discovered it through the channeling. So for me, it happened kind of in reverse, seemingly speaking, kind of in reverse, to learn about things. Why? Because the human mind really, like, I had a very judgmental human mind as well, that relaxed throughout the years and the work, but I was questioning absolutely everything, especially like in the beginning, I thought I'm crazy. And also people closest to me thought I'm crazy, but then I discovered, for example, that they're just mirroring my judgment within what's happening. So to answer your question, this is how I learned about different, let's say, parts of our energy body, about, sacred geometry, everything, almost everything in the beginning that I learned was through the channeling. This gave me a bit more confidence that what's coming through, it's actually authentic. And then the stage of recollecting different multi-dimensional aspects of myself came. So every time I would channel a different aspect of myself, it's like reconnecting with your different star family. So this frequency is now embedded within me and I can channel them. Then I started channeling other people's sessions. So I would sit in a meditation that someone else is doing, and I would capture the energies that are present at the moment in time and the light codes as transmission. So, for example, the light codes that are coming through on the picture are exactly the energy, represent the energy that's present in this moment in time. And then with my guides, and I started receiving, they started guiding me first. They started making my energy practice more rich. And then I started receiving one of the tools that it's called Diamond Light Body Code. So I do encodement for the different parts of our energetic body. So the whole universe is sacred geometry. It's built on sacred geometry. You see it everywhere, even in nature, like with the Fibonacci, etc. The 5 platonic solids, everything is built on a triangle, etc. So part of our energy, we have different parts of our energy body. So you have the chakra system, the energy centers, you have the Merkaba, you have a diamond light body, you have the egg of life, etc. So I was guided, and this developed also in time. Initially, when it came and I started doing this for people, it was more simple, so to speak, version of it. And then it developed when it grew to this part, to the way I do it at the moment. So the way I do it is I have a private session with the person by Zoom call, energy alignment. I connect my higher mind and my higher self to the person, higher mind and higher self. And then I receive light codes that are needed because everyone is different at a different journey, at a different stage of their journey. I would channel light codes that are needed for this moment in time. So for their chakra system, for the aura, so it's clearing, balancing, and upgrading and expanding for the different parts of the energy body. Everything first happens on an energy level, and then the last translation is into the physical body. So any kind of misalignment that you have, if it already has manifested in a physical body, for sure it has happened first on an energetic level.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I don't know about you, Chris, but I'm just like, I told you, wow, when Dee starts going. I want to touch on the back of that as well. Also, how how is DNA? We're all aware of the DNA. We've all heard different scenarios and ideas about junk DNA and everything. So DNA, we are fully aware, is composed of vibrational frequencies. Is this type of work that you do, how can I phrase this? Accessing what we call junk DNA. You know, people would understand it as the junk DNA. Is it, and how is it accessing this?
So scientists, so far, that's what they've discovered, that they're saying that we have over 70%, as far as I'm aware, junk DNA. My perception of it is not like that. Now, I'm not a scientist, but I can speak from my perception and what I've come to discover. As I said before, this so-called dormant junk DNA is where all our potential lays, awaiting to be awakened. So through the light codes, because it bypasses the 3D mind, it interacts straight away on a DNA level and awakens, plants seeds and awakens, and things kind of run on the background until they open up and unfold. Very often through the very strong programming that we have, the 3D mind interferes really strongly and does not allow certain openings to occur. But through using those light code channelings, in a meditative state, because if you're just observing them, yes, they hold the high frequency. You can even go as far as creating a grid in your own house because they interact with each other and they keep this frequency. You don't need to feed them. You don't need to do anything with them. And if you do energy practice, of course, you're going to benefit more. So if you would like to receive 100% of a benefit from whatever is channeled in those channelings, you need to enter a state of allowance and a meditative state. The same goes for example, for the private sessions. Like if you're completely closed off, yes, I will channel whatever needs to come through for you, but you might receive only 10% because of your programming. But if you use it in a meditative state, in a state of allowance, then you start receiving more of your. Why? Because you're using your higher mind now. You don't use your 3D mind, you use your higher mind. And in that expanded state, you receive more. So yes, they do awaken dormant DNA.
They do. Is there, obviously, you know, we're in two realms here, the mind and the higher self, but is there, if we come back to the 3 dimension, is there a very similar to the question Chris asked earlier, is there a hierarchical system to access this? For example, would you have to go into a light codes meditation to do it? Or is there something you have to do before that? Because I'm aware, I'm coming in reference to the programming and the conditioning we all have, the mind, the judgment, the bias, the bigotness. So how would we, as all novices, all of us out here, how would we come in to access this area of the light codes or activating the DNA to awaken? How would we do that?
There is so many different ways. By the end of the day, think of them as like, why would you use a crystal for healing? Well, you can do healing, facilitate healing, just with energy, right? So it's just a matter if you're called, like the channelings, or the same way the crystals, they call you out. Why would you pick, let's say, clear crystal over a rose quartz, for example? You might pick both. You know, something that the crystal holds, the frequency that the crystal holds, it's calling you out. That's this inner calling, this inner intuition that we are talking about. So the same way, you might decide just to do meditation. I'm not saying that you have to use light codes in order to awaken your dormant DNA. It's just another tool, and a very powerful one, because it bypasses the mind. But it's not a must.
So is that the same, Dea, as in, say someone says something to you here, and really it's the vibration of the word that we receive, because we work on the energy here just as much as we do a higher frequency. It's the same then, but it's the language of the higher vibration that you're transmitting down and channeling through. It's a language in itself, but it's the language of everything. Am I right there, or am I?
I'm trying to understand the question. So do you mean like light codes, are they the language of everything?
Is that the universal language? So it comes in forms of symbols. I sometimes see it back to front letters, and that sort of thing. Is that the language of the universe itself, what we are part of, that is being channeled, just the same as the language that the vibration, we change it into a language of understanding here in English or German or French or Spanish, whatever. It's still an energy that we work on, but we need to communicate with each other in this density, this world, our existence. So we speak in, for my example, English.
We have different ways of communication as well. If you think about it, you have, like, if someone is blind, you cannot communicate to them through writing, or unless they learn the Braille. Or if someone is deaf, you cannot communicate through music, right? But still that communication system. So it's just one of those tools or ways to communicate. So light codes, they can be spoken as well. Everything is vibration. By the end of the day, everything is vibration, everything is frequency, and that's just different ways of communicating and interacting with each other and experiencing each other, and through that expanding and growing together and consciousness.
What does it feel like, Dee, when you're channeling?
It feels I lose space and time. It's absolute stillness. The 3D mind is absolutely not present. It's not there, so I would lose track of time. But again, I can bring my human mind and my awareness at any moment in time. So it's not like I'm completely lose it. No, I'm still to a certain point aware of my physical body and of my identity, but it's just kind of like put on the background.
Yeah.
So it does not interfere. And yes, my third eye is very open. I even see with my physical eyes sometimes on occasions through the veil. However, not every single time when I channel, I see it, the full visual, and then I draw it. This is not how it happens. How it happens is I enter a very deep meditative state in which my 3D mind is at the background, and whatever is happening, I do not interfere. So a higher part of myself in a co-creation with whatever I'm channeling translates into the channeled art. And sometimes my human mind will be so surprised from what is seeing in front of me. Oh my God, did I do that?
Yeah.
But it's just because it's not really me. Like, me is like the smallest part of, who is involved in it. Or the human me.
Can I ask, you've just touched on that, sometimes you see with your physical eye or the third eye. Have you found over the last couple of years, are you seeing more other dimensional beings with the third eye in the physical form, since you've been progressing down this road, or are they still mostly in the third eye, or not at all?
So I don't, how can I say that? I don't limit my communication or their communication to me to be in a certain way. And what I mean by that is like, I don't put it as a limitation that I have to see them in order to channel them or to receive a message. So this allowed and opened up a vast way of communication. So sometimes it will be a third eye, sometimes it will be my physical eyes as well, and sometimes it will be an inner knowing, sometimes it will be like literally like someone is talking to me, do this, put this, write this, and sometimes it will be all at once as well. I just really, the key to all of this is just entering a complete state of allowance. And like a child, when a child is, everything is to them. So they're discovering it. So from that state, it is easier for things to come through, and there is less interference of the 3D mind, less filtering. So
because
I would
say no limitations, no expectations.
Correct.
And we are the ones that limit ourselves, and everything we do, we are unlimited, but we the ones we limited ourselves. Oh, I need to do it this way, I need to do it that way. And obviously that's the mind. Thank you. Chris.
We came to experience this as well. So I don't want as well to make the human experience small, because we very often, because it is uncomfortable, experiencing limitations of the physical body or the limitations of the mind, that can be quite uncomfortable. So in a way, we are like shying away from them. The gold is there. By processing those things, by processing those limitations, this is when you grow and expand, and reminding yourself that you came to experience exactly this. Otherwise, Why would you come?
Well, however, that is a good pathway to go down now, because I'm going to say in brackets, apparently agreed to experience this. I am a believer of it myself. However, still a discussion needs to be had, because we don't want it to come out as it's my perception, my belief system. Through working with such energies of consciousness, does that bring a greater awareness? I remember a few years ago when someone said to me, it was a scholar, he was very awakened, and it was many years ago, and he said to me, "You agreed to come here." And I remember saying to him, I could feel this going, "No, I did not. Someone forged my name. I didn't. Why would I agree?" However, now I'm like 25 years down the line, there's a different awareness of that. So we may have viewers today on the show thinking, "I've never heard this before. We agreed." Are you able to, elaborate on that part of this? We agreed.
Absolutely. First of all, I would change the sentence "we agreed" to "we volunteered." We were actually full of excitement to come and experience this. And there is a great learning in the perception of "I volunteered, oh, poor me, I'm a victim of all of this." You see, when this is when we talk about we're moving from a reactive state to a state of conscious creating. You're a conscious creator. So when you're excited, when you came from a point of excitement to experience this reality, that's just a playing ground, another playground for you. And when you become a conscious creator, you can literally manifest anything and create anything. And you are already doing that. It's just that because you are unaware, or you have not yet come to the realization that you're a conscious creator, you're creating from a reactive state. So things come to you. You are vibrating this, so it comes to you. So it's like, "Oh, that's happening to me, poor me." You feel like a victim of a reality. So this is where the lesson lays here. With that, we ask. How did you say the sentence?
I've totally forgotten. I have totally forgotten.
I said that
it always happens.
Yeah, we volunteered to come here. We were not agreeing in a way. I mean, in the sentence agreeing, there is kind of a bit of a victimhood there. That someone pushed me to come here, and I'm shoved here in this hellhole to suffer.
That's what I felt when this lovely awakened being said this to me. I felt like I'm forced. I did feel that, obviously, over the period of time. I mean, so really, would I be correct in saying, for those hearing for the first time today, that we volunteered to come here to experience the human experience? It may be a bit like I felt years ago, but have a bit of discernment and go, okay, instead of pushing it to one side, open that up and go, okay, let's look at that. Let's see. Would that be a way through for others to actually access and become more aware of this, do you think?
Well, look at what you shared about your own journey. So through this co-creation between you and this other friend, right? You, on your journey, came to the realization that actually that's not such a bad place, that you actually volunteered to come here, that you came from a point of excitement, etc. So that's the whole point of these co-creations. The self-realization, every single thing and experience that we bring to ourselves is in order to self-realize deeper and deeper. And more, grow and expand. It's all about this. So when you have this kind of perception, why not? I mean, when you go to school to learn different subjects, you don't say,
and you're not interested when you go to school, like history. I remember history. Oh, I'm not interested. Oh, but I had to. I had to, obviously. Once I got into history, I thoroughly enjoyed history. I went, wow. So same principle.
Yeah. So it's
okay not to like history as well. It's like through contrast, we learn what we prefer and what we don't prefer. Now the point is how to create consciously more of what we prefer.
Yeah.
There is no expression, there is no growth.
So the shift in the energy is already happening now, Dee. And if we go back a good while, and I had a conversation with my daughter the other day, it was quite fascinating about this, and she's 19. So a lot of the younger generation are being here we go in terms of incarnating into this life for the experience again. They're very awake, very aware, automatically. So the shift in the consciousness is already started to begin. They are coming out with things without having to go through a format, without going through a belief that you have to do something. It's just natural to them, and it is amazing to see. But that's why I feel in sense of what you do, and you bring that channeling down and the light codes, you are giving to people, you are evolving them, being part of that evolvement, part of that shift, in order to educate everyone to come along the same pathway. Does that make sense? Have I said that right? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. And by the end of the day, I have friends, for example, who have chosen to completely have just a 3D experience, and that's also okay. Nothing is
that's also okay.
Yeah. I wasn't dismissing it.
No. I'm adding to what you said. Yes.
Yeah.
So and that's all consciousness re-experiencing itself, interacting. We have to have all sides of the spectrum in order for us to create contrast, so we can grow and expand.
Yeah, to give an understanding of ourselves, to be a better person, if you like, or a better experience. Yeah.
Can I ask, obviously you're fully aware we've had conversations before, and I have a connection to the Eye of Horus, Hathor, as you know, behind me, and the Arcturians. Okay, I've heard this question being asked on many chat shows to many channelers, and I've got to ask it because it's one of those questions. How many other dimensional beings or energies are you aware of, i.e. like Arcturians or reptilians, and who are you aware of through your channeling?
I'm aware of reptilians, although I have channeled, the only reptilian being that I've channeled is Trep Bonite. You're aware of him, he's neutral. I have had encounters with reptilian beings, but at that point in time, I have had enough encounters with negative energy, so I did not hold any judgment. Therefore, my experience with them was quite neutral. I have a neutral understanding when it comes to energies, because everything comes from one source. And if you think about it, let's say, for example, let's talk a bit, because many people are still playing the game, so to speak, with the negative energy. When you hold judgment or when you're in a state of fear, you are calling this experience to yourself. Because if you think about it, when you experience negative energy, all it does is push you towards raising your vibration. So actually, it's in service of you. Right?
Yeah.
It's teaching you how to. And sometimes it's teaching you in many ways how to. Now, everything is a great teacher to us. So I'm aware of, to go back on which beings, I'm aware of reptilian beings, Hathorians, Arcturians, Pleiadians, Lyrans, Sisterhood of Rose, Brotherhood of Light, Archangels, Yeshua, Mother Mary. I'm sure I'm going to miss out something, but quite a few. Mantis as well. I've channeled Mantis as well. They're extremely intelligent.
Mantis. Wow. Is individually, obviously me and Chris are aware of other channelers that channel different dimensional beings. Another question that's always asked is, are you, or do we channel? I don't know how to word this, and you know what I'm like when I start asking you questions. Do we channel our own sort of family or DNA? Or, for example, some may be Arcturians, some may be reptilians. I mean, obviously, as a channeler as yourself, you're bringing in the light codes, which is not just a channeling, it's a bigger universal consciousness picture. Are we, I suppose really, to simplify the question, because I have to, Oh, how are we connected to these dimensional beings, Dee? To make it simple.
In so many ways. Yes, we do have all sorts of extraterrestrial DNA in our own DNA, right? And we have different reincarnations as such. So you might have reincarnated as a Pleiadian, Arcturian, etc. I don't know. Another beings that I connect with very strongly is from Sirius. Just was told this.
Oh, Sirius.
Sirius.
Wow.
Yes. But there's so many, even when you say Sirius, people, there's so many different beings there as well. They're so vast. They're so different looking. So how are we connected to them? We're connected through consciousness. Internally, we're connected with everything. We hold the whole universe within us. We are them. They are us.
We are them.
Yeah.
So, I just picked up on something then. I just want to ask. Sorry. You know, you're talking about the DNA and the connection to the oneness, connection to the beings, and is it a form of us? Then, when this happens and we raise our vibration to a higher frequency level, is our DNA being altered or changed in any way?
I would imagine so as well. Yes. So for me, entering a different frequency is like tuning in. Imagine the radio and you're changing the channel. You're tuning into a different song.
Yeah.
To simplify. Through the energy work, of course, like if you're upgrading and you are in a higher state, I would imagine that, of course, this affects your DNA as well.
Yeah.
That's my perception, though. Doesn't have to be the truth for everyone.
No, I just found it
That's
interesting.
a very wonderful perception.
Yeah.
Chris, I mean, I you know me, I find it hard to ask Dee questions because I'm going, I knew that already. Oh God, stop it. Don't ask them questions. Do you have it just happens between me and Dee. I'm going to try another one. What might be new, and it's on behalf of our audience, Dee, on behalf of our audience here in the UK. We are now a consciousness, we're at the evolution of consciousness where we're aware of mediums, we talk to spirits, to other energies. However, the majority of UK, I can't speak for the world, is fully aware of mediums and how that works, mediumship. And it's okay now. No one's burnt at the stake no more, okay? So we'll get that out of the way. Now, thank God, yes, that's gone. But many of our viewers today, or when they rewatch the show, it will be the first time they've heard, not only are we able to connect with other dimensional beings other than our loved ones that have passed, whatever term, crossed over. Not only that, but the fact that we have also, within that, we tend to say at this level, we've reincarnated as this, our Roman, and collective consciousness at the moment seems to be okay with that. Okay, I was a Roman. We do past life regression. Oh, I was on the Titanic, yes. However, it's just coming into, the veil's just been lifted now that actually, yes, I was an Arcturian. Now that is a big shaker for the majority of the viewers to say, what? So this is something, you know, I'm looking at, and I've had people say to me, I couldn't be another dimensional being. I couldn't be. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So how would you ease this into the collective consciousness that's watching the show now, how that's happening? What is our connection? And is it only just through, or can we just say we are all one? I personally don't think that's enough to say we're all one. How does that work, that we possibly reincarnated as a reptilian at some point? So through the experience. I knew she'd do it to me, Chris. I knew she would do it to me. You know, it's
from a higher
the question is
from a higher perspective. everything is just an experience. So I would ask, if you find out, let's say, that you are reincarnated as an Arcturian, if this is an amusement, if this makes you feel more special, who's the one that's feeling more special? Who's the one that's feeling amused?
Yes.
And what's the answer to that? The persona. Or who's the one that is rejecting that? Which is also okay, the persona. So how do we access higher dimensions? How do we access, that's the next question, how do we access infinite intelligence? Is it through the 3D mind and the persona, or is it through consciousness? So all your questions lay within, when you enter a state of allowance and you access infinite intelligence through a higher state of beingness.
Yes.
And then it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not amusing that you have been an Arcturian or a reptilian, or you're experiencing this, or your car broke, or everything is just an experience.
An experience to share for everyone else, for the collective to be.
In order to learn, grow, and expand.
Learn, grow, and evolve. Yeah,
and all these people who are rejecting that, they're also needed. As I said before, through co-creating contrast, this is how consciousness expands. And that's
polarities.
And
the polarities is needed.
And if they don't want to accept that or explore that, because for me, for example, I was born in Christianity. I don't want to bring religion here, but I'm just saying that even though certain beliefs might have been imposed in a light way, never in a harsh way, I still found my truth when it comes to, in regards to, let's say, religion, even since I was a child. So explore and ask questions. It's very easy to just reject something, and that's also okay. As I said, I have many people around me who have chosen just to live in the 3D world. Nothing wrong with that. We came to experience that as well. Now, some of us want to reconnect with other dimensions while we're here as well. Some of us, we have different missions, etc. But each one of us have a purpose. And I think the purpose is existence. That's our purpose.
I mean, obviously, I can never ask you the right question, and I'm absolutely fine with that. But you always answer it in one way or another, and all the other questions that are in my head. So basically, I've totally lost that one. This is what happens. The awakening that we're talking about today. Another terminology. It's basically awakening to who we truly are, and taking off the limitations, the belief systems, how things should play out, what we should achieve, cause and effect. So basically, it's the dropping of those. Is that correct? To awaken and to see who we truly are.
Yes.
Inside.
Yes, and when you say we would like to know who we truly are, however, we're trying to access this now through the mind, who we truly are.
Again.
And this explained, but the way to access or to tap into who we truly are is through entering a meditative state, entering to a state of allowance, connecting, consciousness, bringing forward presence, getting in touch with who you truly are, which is consciousness, which is part of everything else, the whole universe.
So, Dee, just to ask on that, when we talk about karmic balance, we've created it, obviously. It's been created in this existence of an experience. But is it your belief that we reincarnate to regain that experience, to lose some form of that karmic belief that we've allowed ourselves to have in order to evolve to a higher state again? I know it keeps evolving and we keep going on, and it's eternal, and we might reincarnate, as we say, as an alien, or we might reincarnate as a human again. It doesn't matter which. But is there a karmic? We've created karmic balance within the creation. The creators, us as the creator, have created that experience of karma. So do you believe that we carry on to lose that karmic form of belief, so we create a greater understanding, so then we can lose that belief system in order to build in a better belief system for a better experience?
You said lose our belief system
What I'm saying is, we talk about karma. Everyone goes on about karma.
Okay, so let's talk about karma. So the human perception, or at least the majority of human perception about karma, is that that's something bad. So you did something, now you get your karma. I completely do not resonate with that.
Right.
From a higher perspective, as I
I
said,
understand that from the.
just experience. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Dee. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Is that why we raise our vibration then and go into the higher aspect to get a collective understanding, to stop that recreation of that karma that's been with us for some time?
I can answer why I raised my vibration. I raised my vibration because I feel better, because I feel more balanced, more aligned, more connected to the universe, and I become a conscious creator.
Yeah.
Yes, I manifest what I wish and desire through a higher state. Yeah. That's why I raise my vibration. Karma, I don't know, in some way it doesn't really, it doesn't exist in my awareness, so to speak. It's just, for me, it's another human limitation, karma is.
Yeah.
I
know it's just an experience.
Yeah, I need to blame something on something that's occurring in your life.
Yeah. So I guess it's then the shift of taking control of what reality you want to have.
I'm sorry?
I guess I'm just trying to ask it from an understanding. Then a shift of taking control of the reality of experiences you want to have.
Yeah, becoming a conscious creator. So let's say that you strongly believe that you have created some karma. If you strongly, and you are now paying off this karma, now that's straight away entering a victim mode.
Yeah.
And the victim villain hero mode is the egoic mind game in a movie. So how to process that is through entering a point of observer and realizing that that's the game. I mean, if you give me a more specific example, I might even assist in processing the certain situation. But if we're talking generalized in regards to karma, everything is your choice. Like a belief is a thought that it's thought many times.
Yeah.
Discerning starting to.
I guess what I'm asking you, Dee, is because what goes on in the world at the moment with control systems, it's gone on for a long time. So I guess I'm getting to the point of what you probably just answered. Then is the shift in the energy and the shift in the consciousness awareness is allowing us to understand that it's a choice whether we allow that to continue in our reality or we don't.
Yeah, what you tune into as well. There have always been poor people and rich people. There have always been sick people and healthy people. There has always been people thriving and people suffering. Always.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're tuning in and what you're experiencing it at, and what your outside reality is a translation of what's within you. So if you're observing a lot of, I don't know, you name it, stroppy people, let's say, a way to understand why you're bringing and co-creating these experiences and to get yourself out of, because you might feel like, oh my God, this person is doing this to me or whatever, is asking, okay, so I'm observing this. What is this here to teach me? So this mirror, what is this mirroring within me? And once you discover that and you clear that, you shift your vibration, your reality translates. Then you meet only smiley people. I'm giving a very,
I just think but I felt it was important for viewers, because viewers, a lot of people do talk about concept, and a lot of people do exist in so many experiences of the 3D world that we're a part of. So I just wanted to obviously follow that concept to get that understanding.
But that's all.
I mean, what it does for us.
That's all. on a personal level. Now, when we talk about collective consciousness and larger experiences like wars, etc., then that it becomes more complex because there is so many parties involved there.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying be ignorant, but where focus goes, energy flows. It's a simple, very truthful law of attraction. So I'm not saying ignore coronavirus, or we don't talk about this, or wars, or give any example. I'm not saying ignore it, but choose consciously how much time and energy you spend on it.
Well, I apologise because I've taken off about you. So.
Please don't apologise at all. I love all the questions.
I've taken on the subject of you. Go on, Gloria, sorry.
On that note, where your focus goes, your energy flows, where are you now at this point, at this now moment? Where are you focusing on something now? Are you working on something that's different or new now, that you could share with us? Where are you going with your conscious channeling?
This in a way ties up to, like, I feel like you've asked me, like, what's your purpose in a way, because, you know, where are you focusing now? So I'm focusing on my self-growth and expansion, because, and pause a bit before you react that this is too egoic, because I discovered that through focusing on me, growing and expanding, I have the better capacity and ability to also help others and extend service to others, but also I affect consciousness, collective consciousness in a vaster, deeper, richer way. So this is what I do now. That's my main focus: self-development, growth, expansion, and of course, as a byproduct, this comes into service as well. It's into service.
When I asked the question, I knew that you'd pick it up as the purpose, and I didn't want to ask the purpose. It's the language we talk about. So I thought, I know that there's not a purpose. I know it has to go within. So how do I ask the question? But I knew you would give an amazing answer, which you did, which is about going within. It's going within.
What are you, because we've got you on here, Dee, and to promote yourself, what are you offering at the moment to people out there? What's your services that you have available?
So I can channel their guides, and they come with light codes. So I don't advertise that I deliver messages, because I explained that every time I find that when an information is channeled and tried to be translated through the verbal channeling, it is a little bit filtered. For me, I have a absolute 100% certainty, and that's me. I mean, there is out there channelers who are amazing and brilliant with verbal channeling, but for me, light language, it's where I'm best at, or 100%. So I can channel people's guides. I offer the Diamond Light Body Code, which is unique. It's one of a kind at the moment, at least in the world, channeling, which basically I channel codes for the 13 gates. So your 13 chakra systems for clearing, balancing, and upgrading the chakra system, aura expansion, egg of life, which is the first 8 cells, original cells. So they hold your blueprint and your DNA print, so to speak. So I infuse divine feminine, divine masculine. So I balance divine feminine and masculine, balancing from the point of conception for this imprint, for this existence, and also codes from higher realms for the Merkaba light body and the diamond light body. So some people don't have it activated. It activates the diamond light body and the Merkaba, and it comes in 3 parts, Trinity into oneness. So one channeling represents the egg of life, and all of them are held in spheres of Elohim, Seraphim, and Cherubim, the highest frequency. The other one is the Merkaba, and the other one is the chakra system and the diamond light body and the aura. That's the most popular private channeling that I do. It involves a personal session as well, energy alignment. But the beauty of the light codes is that it's not you just come one session, energy alignment, and that's it. This channeling stays with you. It's literally live portal, energy portal. So the more and more you use it in your meditations, incorporate it in the meditations, the more and more downloads, openings, and upgrades you receive. So it's an ongoing thing. You know, it's not just one session. That's it. It's a beautiful gift to give yourself, supportive tool, and it offers an accelerated growth and expansion through using that. What other services? You know, I have certain frequencies that have channels and light beings that print canvases or posters. However, now due to the situations, I have stopped doing that because it's more challenging with COVID, but it will resume eventually. I have done channeled business pages for people. The last one I did was for people in States. They were opening a school for Christic children. So I channeled their logo and their business page and etc.
Wonderful.
Yeah, well, if they go to the website, they can see all the services there. Whoever is interested. Yeah.
Amazing, Dee.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dee.
For having me.
And I did manage to ask a few questions. I didn't think I'd be able to ask any, because once you just start, you literally, before I ask a question, you're already answering it somehow. But thank you for coming on the show today and sharing with our guests in the UK and around the world. And we hope in the future that you will come back, because me and Chris are looking in the future to maybe do a panel of conscious channelers in different ways for them to have the discussion between themselves, to highlight the areas, if you'd be interested, to highlight the areas we spoke about today. For those of us that don't at the moment have that awakening, or we're not quite understanding. So thank you so much indeed. It's been wonderful.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
It's been amazing.
I will put your
Thank you
photos
so much.
Afterwards, and obviously I'll advertise the link to your page,
Absolutely.
so people can find out and ask you questions as well, and of your services and stuff.
Yeah. All questions are welcomed. I know that this is very new, so
yes,
all questions.
Yes. Okay, so I suggest everybody, if you want to find out more, contact Dee. She has a website, she has a Facebook page. Go look at the art on our page today. It's absolutely amazing. And it's time for us to leave, Chris. I don't want to go. This conversation.
We'll let you go, Dee. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll put you in you can go to the green room and have a breather.
Gloria's naughty room.
Gloria's naughty room. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll speak soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dee. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Chris. Wow, what a wonderful, wasn't it? We knew it would be wonderful. Excuse me, my hay fever. I'm going to start coughing.
Week, Gloria.
Next week. Next week, we have the amazing Roxanne Swainhart. Roxy is a conscious channeler, another conscious channeler, different way of channeling than Dee today. And it's her greatest passion is to channel different entities and share the wisdom with humanity as a whole. She's fully conscious and aware all throughout her channelings. And we've had a couple of conversations with Roxanne, haven't we, Chris? She is mind-blowing. Yeah. Absolutely. So Roxanne will be on the show next Saturday, excuse me.
Thank you to our viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Amazing from Dee today. Thank you so much. And Gloria, go on.
It's good night from him.
Good night from her.
Thank you, everybody. See you next Saturday. Bye now. Bye. Bye. Oh.